Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Music Den. I'm your host Armando Venditti. I want to welcome you all back to another segment of Live Album Spotlight. Now, I've covered this artist before in another segment with Jim Bricker and Ken Cheshire. But after listening to this album, I wanted to discuss it because I think it is a fantastic album. That artist obviously is Joni Mitchell, and it's her first live release, Miles of Isles. Mies of Ailes was released in November 1974. This album was the result of the tour that she did to support Court and Spark, which was released in January of 1974. The material for Miles of Ailes was recorded on various dates, March 2nd and 4th, and August 14th to the 17th of 1974. The venues that were used for the recording were the Universal Amphitheater, the Dorothy Chandler Pavilion, and the Berkeley Community Center. The album was produced by Joni Mitchell, and it's listed as a mixture of jazz, pop, and rock. I would say soft rock, not heavy at all. I do believe it was her first recording for a live recording for Silent Records, and it has a playing time of 78 minutes and 1 second. So obviously, when it was released on Asylum on vinyl, it was released as a double album. Upon release, it reached number 13 in the Canadian charts and number 2 in the American charts. Now, from what I've read, this was her first tour where she had a backup band. Usually, she would go out on her own up to that point. But the backup band that supported her on this tour was called the LA Express. Now, in the band, you had Tom Scott on woodwind instruments and harmonica, Robin Ford on electric guitar, Larry Nash on guitar, Max Bennett on bass, and John Guerin, sorry, on drums and percussion. Now, as I said, this album to me is fantastic. It's not heavy at all in terms of flash and dash and like light shows and smoke bombs going off. It's very laid back, subdued performance. Perfect. You can just imagine, Joni Mitchell up on stage with her guitar and just singing her heart out to the audience. Now, there are 18 tracks on this album, so it's pretty lengthy, for a live recording. It's standard around this time. Usually, live recordings had like 20 tracks on them, depending who the artist was. Um, this album, though, does uh, I don't know if it's been critiqued, sorry, for the fact that she doesn't include the songs Help Me, Free Man in Paris, and Raised on Robbery, which were the singles from Court and Spark. You have a good representation of of previous albums like Blue and For the Roses. Okay. The album starts off with a really fantastic version of You Turn Me On I'm a Radio from For the Roses, which apparently was a bit of a dig at radio and the record companies for wanting her to, and management for wanting her to write more commercial type and more single oriented tracks, right? But a really good version. And what I love about this album is she has a really good control of her voice in terms of she goes from the mid range to the high range without hesitation. Okay. After You Turn Me On a Radio, you have a good sort of up-tempo jazzy kind of version of Big Yellow Taxi featuring saxophone. Fantastic. Then it calms down a little bit, goes back into the acoustic guitar mode with Rainy Night House. Okay. And side one ends off with her version of Woodstock track that she wrote. Again, a bit more of an upbeat version. And you can tell that, or I could tell probably that the tracks were mixed up in terms of the playing order because after Woodstock, she says, we're going to take a 15-minute break and come back and do another set for you. I doubt that they stopped after 4 tracks, like performing 4 songs. So I do believe that the running order of the tracks was mixed up. So side two starts off with Cactus Tree. Okay, beautiful rendition of this track. Now, a lot of these songs are very introspective tracks, okay? Very uh turning inward and looking in on yourself and looking at your life and just sort of talking about your experiences. After Cactus Tree comes Cool Blue Steel and Sweet Fire. Okay, amazing, amazing. Woman of Heart and Mind comes next. Again, all on acoustic guitar. Bass is also included, but a very sort of relaxed feel. You can almost feel like, you're sitting down, on a weekend night, like you're sitting basically in a park kind of a setting, and you're just watching somebody perform, either that or in a jazz club, you know, basically an outdoor jazz club. Let's call it that. After Woman of Heart and Mind comes a beautiful recording of A Case of You. Again, I'm not sure if she's on the piano at this point, but or she's accompanied. I'm sure she's accompanied, but it's just brilliant. Blue comes next. The Circle Game is just an amazing piece of pop art, I call, because basically it's a track talking about someone looking at their life and knowing that you have to keep going. You can't go back in the past. You can't revisit the past. And as much as I guess most of us would want to, and maybe correct things or do things over again or do things differently or see that special someone again, you can't. It's impossible, you know. Um, After Circle Game comes People's Parties from uh, Court and Spark. Just again, just brilliantly done. All I Want is next from Blue, and the crowd is really getting into it at this point. I mean, they're getting into it throughout the entire performance, but they are really, you know, up and clapping and just sort of um, having a good time. They're caught up in the moment of watching Joni Mitchell on stage, and they're just loving it, right? Um, up uh, Up next is Real Good for Free. Just fantastic, a good track. Both sides now, beautiful version of this track is next. Coming up next after that, you have her version of Carrie, again from Blue. The Last Time I Saw Richard, another track from Blue, again very poignant piece of work, just amazing. Um, this album is noted for having two new songs on it. One is Jericho, which is next after The Last Time I Saw Carrie, and that was never recorded for an album until 1977's Don Juan's Reckless Daughter. Okay, beautiful version of this track, just great. And the album ends with a new song that she recorded live, but she never did a studio version of this track called Love or Money. And again, she's brilliant on stage. She's got the audience in the palm of her hand. They know who she is. They know what she can deliver on vocals and guitar, and for uh, brilliantly crafted folk slash pop songs. And they're just sort of mesmerized by what she's doing, and they're just watching her and enjoying it. And it is a laid back album for a live album, but it's in the vein of, I guess, Crosby, Stills and Nash, James Taylor. But you know what? You pulled in. Well, I was pulled in, right? And I'm sure most people that when they listen to this album were pulled in too. And it is a fantastic album. And it does end with Love or Money. The album did reach gold in the US. And yeah, I have it on CD. And it is part of the Asylum Records box set re reissue that they're doing on her, the Asylum years, 1972 to 1975. You can get that too on Amazon for like $72 if you want to get a remastered version of this album. I have the standard CD version. Again, Miles of Isles is a fantastic album. Please check it out. Again, you can stream it on YouTube to listen to it before you buy it. It isn't, again, it's not a heavy rock oriented album with guitar solos, etc., and exploding uh smoke bombs going off and stuff, or laser light shows. It's just you're sitting down, you're enjoying this woman on guitar with her beautiful angelic voice, and you're just caught up in the moment of watching her. And yeah, there's a reason why, because she's fantastic. So please check it out and let me know what you think down there in the comments below. And yeah, just I would like to get a dialogue going with each of these episodes that I do. I've said that before. But again, check out Miles of Owls on YouTube before you go buy it if you don't have it. And if you do have it, you pretty much know what I'm talking about. So that's it for now. I'll be back with more episodes with Jim Bricker and Kid Cheshire in the near future. I hope you guys are looking after yourselves and one another. Please click like and subscribe and hit the notification bell to keep yourselves on top of any new content I've got coming up. All right, that's it for now. Take care of yourselves. See you later. Bye bye.